Hi, my name is April Patterson, and I actually have an entire family of actors. It's really funny that people often assume that I encourage my kids to get in this industry because I had done it for so long, but in fact, it was quite the opposite. My children inspired me to do this. They had been doing it way before I was. And I just saw how beautifully they were growing and how compassionate and empathetic they were becoming because they were kid actors, and it just truly inspired me to get in it. So when I speak about our faith, I kind of speak about our faith as a whole and how we carry ourselves in this industry as actors and actresses who happen to be Christians. And I say that because we actually have never booked any roles in any Christian faith-based films. A lot of the things that we've booked have been just stories, drama, secular movies that are just true stories about real people, sometimes hard stories to tell. And so with that being said, because the opportunities to only work in Christian faith-based films are so slim. And we obviously get a lot of scripts and sides for things that are not faith-based. And my goal in this industry for me and my family is that when we are doing work in this industry, we truly want to be a reflection of Christ. And in some ways, that had to change what we felt like serving Christ looked like. And for us, it wasn't always being in Christian faith-based films because those opportunities weren't there. So every role that we got, we would just pray on it and we would say, God, is this for us? And ultimately our prayer has always been that we trust and we have faith that everything that comes our way is coming from you. And through that, we can be a reflection of you. And through that, we can show the love of Christ. And it's been beautiful because we've been able to tell these really beautiful, raw, sometimes hard stories. And just from being on set or through those stories, even stories that weren't considered Christian or faith-based, we've been able to be a true reflection of God's love with our interactions with other actors, with telling these stories that are so hard and raw and vulnerable, but showing love that people have. And even the people within the film, the roles that we've taken, have had strong faith. And so it's just been really wonderful when we pray that God brings us the things that are meant for us and not really worry about anything else. He truly brings the things that are meant for us. And there is no fear and no hesitation when it comes to receiving things that we think aren't for us. Because when we know that it's not from Christ, we have full confidence in saying no, knowing that it will not hinder us in any way whatsoever. And that's been a really hard lesson to learn, not letting fear of saying no all the time, not letting that fear influence what we take, and just truly believing that God put us in this industry for a reason. And I think every day I would pray, Lord, I know you brought us here for a reason. I know you gave me these beautiful, wonderfully talented children, and you put me in a place to be so well trained, and we've put all of this hard work, and I know this is not all in vain. I know that you are meant to use us in this industry to be a vessel to share you with others. And so my prayer has always been that you bring us the things to where we can just shine so brightly for you. And I truly have been amazed and honored to be able to be a vessel for him in this industry, because I feel like everything that has been brought our way we've been able to be witnesses for Christ and tell just really beautiful stories. So having faith always that God will provide the work that he wants us to tell, the stories that he wants us to tell, and letting go of the fear of saying no to the things that are not for us, makes it incredibly easy to walk in full confidence towards our destination, towards just push strong in this industry and just cry out for Christ so confidently and have no fear of judgment or missing out on opportunities, because they are not for us. If they are not for Christ, they are not for us. And we are just so honored to constantly accept the things that God brings to us. But we honestly pray about everything that comes our way. And sometimes those things don't always look the way we think they would look. But having just a strong personal relationship with God and constantly praying about everything that we take, it makes it very easy to know when to say no and when to say yes. Because I know that even if the project doesn't quite look the way I think it should look to reflect a true Christian film, I know that if God put it on my heart to accept that, there's a reason he wants me to be there. There is somebody on set that he needs me to witness to. There's somebody on set that he needs me to show the love of God to. And there's just someone that he needs to bring into my life that I can just lay hands on and pray for, or go in my prayer closet and pray for, because I know in full confidence, okay, God, this is where you want me to go. You brought this to me for a reason. I've prayed about it, and we're moving forward with this. So definitely just having that close relationship with God and carrying our faith into the industry, whether it's secular or Christian films, plays a big part in our walk. And my prayer is that God will continue to let us tell stories in this industry as actors who are vulnerable and raw and completely empathetic human beings. And I think it's within humanity, when telling these stories, that we are able to be a reflection of Christ. So yeah, that's that.
Hello, I am Dean Phillippi. Thank you so very much for having me here, Mr. and Mrs. Collier. I'm very honored to be part of this Creative Motion Network and discussing acting on faith. I'm very honored. Thank you so very much. A little bit about me. As an actor and Christian, my faith and belief in God is important to me in all I do, and especially with the film projects. Because of my faith, films that I prefer to do are the Christian faith-based films and or family-friendly films. Last year, I was very honored and awarded the Best Dramatic Actor and runner-up for the Best Adult Actor at the Southeastern Regional Film Festival. Along with being an actor, I've played 10 years professional football for the American Football League, Washington Generals. I've served in the military during the Vietnam War era in the U.S. Navy. And I'm currently a Boy Scout chaplain here in the Northeast Florida. I was very honored a few years ago to receive the God in Service Award for my service to use in the name and glory of God. My belief in doing things in all in favor of God, especially with acting in films, gives me great pleasure when I feel that I'm doing something that could impact people's lives, especially through film, in a very positive way. It is so enjoyable to go on a film set and to pray together with fellow cast and crew. It is so important that we do these films since social media, TV, and films are most commonly watched. And it is so important to do a film that shows God's love, His patience, His obedience, His words, and how meaningful God is in our lives. What people see on television and in the movies actually becomes part of their life experience and impacts them. Since children watch TV and movies more, children today are deeply influenced by television and movies. For kids, if there is no adult instruction, then otherwise, it appears that kids today will have a steady media exposure to violence, sexual immorality, greed, and foul language that they see on TV, social media, video games, and movies. My question is, why not expose our children to faith-based and family-friendly films that will help build their character instead of damaging it? We need to influence the power of God's love through film. If I can do a film that helps change a person's life for the better, I feel that I've really accomplished something. The most important thing to me that I can say, which is why I'm doing faith-based films, is that it is so important to me that God's message of blessing or healing comes through the film. And if someone comes up to me and says, that film really touched my life, or that film changed my life for the better, or most importantly, I turned my life over to God after watching that film, that is exactly why I love doing faith-based films. I've done various faith-based films, faith-based TV series, music videos, and I've done stage and theater. I'm always honored to work on these films or projects. Birth of Jesus. I play the role of Roman guard that was with Christ Church, Jacksonville, Florida. Heaven's Wonderland, sang by Pamela Teresa. I play the role as Dr. Dean, MD. Director was Stephen Christian with Papa Lee Productions. I Surrender, sang by Karen Hornsby. I play the role as Pastor Mike with Andrew Carty as director with Siskey Productions. No Hope, sang by Faith Pettis. I play the role as police chaplain. The director was Vincent DeMarco with DeMarco Films. Night's End, which is in pre-production. I play the role as Sigeric High Priest Elder. This is done and directed by Timothy Paul Taylor with TPT Films Entertainment. 12 Masks, we did a pilot for this. I play the role as God. This is done by Chris Robinson, Teresa Robinson, and Mark Potts as directorship, and they're with Archangel Global Media. AMRAC, My New Home. I play the role as God. These were tough shoes to fill, but I had an enjoyable time doing this. The director is Sean Roberts. The Birthday Wish. I also play the role as God. The director is Violetta Licari with KLU Productions. Next is Neither Do I Condemn Thee, which is in pre-production. I play the role as the lead Pharisee. It's by Todd Usick Ministries, Todd Usick, director. Losing Faith. I play the role as Pastor Robert Cobb. It was done by Mike Heath, director, Real Insight Productions. Grace of the Father. I played as part of roles on the train, done by D. Miller, Lasaris Productions. The Christmas Beacon, which is in pre-production. I play the role as Pastor Adrian McKay, with James Radcliffe as the director, Tandem Media. Dancer, which is in pre-production. I play the role as Pastor Harold Smithson. Director is Darren Cole Butcher with Mustard Tree Productions. So those are my faith-based film projects that I've worked on. I've done several others, but those are basically those that have been defined, entitled as faith-based related. I want to give out a special thank you and a shout out for the following. Haley Craig with Legacy Talent Agency, Laura May with Christian Casting 24 Flicks, Gene Selig-Winger with Treasure Coast Talent Agency, and especially with Kevin and Kristen Collier. Thank you so very much for having me with you with Creative Motion Network and discussing with you acting on faith. I'm very proud and very honored to be a part of this episode and blessed. If you do need someone to work with you in the future with faith-based projects, I'd truly be honored and blessed to be with you. Thank you so very much for your time, and God bless.
Hi, I'm Meggie Jenny, and you're watching Acting on Faith. So today they asked me to talk about my testimony, why I do what I do, how I got into it. So I thought, hey, let's start at the beginning, shall we? I started at 12. I was 12 years old when I went to my very first play to Stained Glass Theater, which is like a Christian theater house. And I cannot remember for the life of me what the play was, but I loved it. And I auditioned for their very next play, and I landed the role of Grace. which is a little ironic because I am not very graceful. In fact, I'm like a master klutz. I could win an Academy Award at being klutzy. But nonetheless, I played this role. I loved everything about it. I loved the people. I loved developing the character. I loved telling the story. I loved the excitement of being on stage in front of the live crowd. I loved everything about it. It was a fantastic experience. And so I did theater throughout school, throughout high school, and turned 18 and stopped. Now, it was not because I didn't like doing it or I didn't want to continue doing it, but I had a moment of reality. Okay, I was pretty much always that down-to-earth kind of reality-stricken person. Not that I didn't have big dreams, but I always saw what was real and mandatory. I mean, got to get a job. Well, at that stage I had a job, but got to have a job, a real job, got to pay my bills. So I just shut the door. I mean, around here you don't get paid for doing theater work. I wasn't going to move to LA or New York, and I didn't think that was even an option to live in Missouri and to have any kind of involvement with film or anything like that. So I just shut the door, and I determined that that was over for me. That part of my life was done. And I had met my husband and we got married. I got married at 19, which is not for everyone, but realist. I was a little bit more mature than probably most of my age. It worked. Got married at 19. I was working at a radio station, then later started working at a bank. And I loved my life. It was fantastic. It was brilliant. I had my daughter in 2007. And I had my son in 2010, and I loved everything about my life. It was great. My family was fantastic. I wasn't discontent in anything. I still loved everything about entertainment. Watching a movie was thrilling to me. I loved watching characters or kind of not tearing apart, that's not the right term, but analyzing these different things. I loved going to theater shows, but it was just something that I had decided was done for me. I did do plays and stuff throughout the church, but that was about it. In 2007, when my daughter was born, my father-in-law moved out here from California, and he was already doing some guitar refinishing out there, but my husband has a business degree, so the two got together and partnered, and they kind of started this more business endeavor of a guitar refinishing company called MJTH Finishes. So within 2 months, my husband had quit his job at the bank, and I wasn't working because I was at home with our daughter. And so that was terrifying, but God called him to it. God told him to do it, and he was faithful to do that. And God blessed the heck out of that. Guys, when God's calling you to something, even if it's terrifying, if you know it's from the Lord, do it. Do it. I thought, hey, worst comes to worst, I can get a job and our daughter can go to daycare, even though that's not what we wanted. I knew that we were not going to end up on the streets. So he went from a steady paycheck to not really sure how it's going to working out, but trust in the Lord. And guys, I tell you what, God is good, because that business went from just he and my husband in my father-in-law's garage to now I think there's like 20 people working for them. And they've just recently acquired another guitar company as well. Man, when God guides, God provides. And we are totally a testament of that. It is just so cool to see God work in different ways. But anyway, I digress. So, guitar company. We were refinishing a guitar in 2015. They were building a guitar for a local television show, variety television show, kind of like Hee Haw, called Kelly's Country Junction. And they had mentioned to my father-in-law they needed another actress. One of their actresses left. And he mentioned, well, Maggie does that. You should have her come in. And so I went in and they hired me and I started working on that show. And it was fun. It was great. My kids at that age were 5 and 7. So they were a little less mommy needy. And so it worked great. They usually filmed on the weekends, which was great because my husband was able to be home with the kids, and it worked fantastic for our schedule with our kids being so young. And I was working with another actress there, and she had mentioned, you really should do other things. And I was like, well, but what is there to do? We live in Missouri. And she's like, well, actually, you could do this. And so she kind of opened my world to indie film in the Midwest. And within a few weeks, I had landed a leading role in another feature film. And within maybe two months, maybe, I had connected with Jean Winger of Treasure Coast Talent. And at that stage, she was a manager. She was just kind of getting in her feet wet and all of these different things. And so I signed with her, and we kind of started this endeavor together, which was brilliant. She's such an amazing woman. She is so true to your convictions. She will fight for you. And, there's so many different agents and managers who all they care about is pushing you to get to the next level. And they don't take into account what your convictions are. And so it can be very difficult to work with them. But that is not Jean at all. She is Mama Bear, and she respects and honors and encourages you to stay true to your convictions, which is really rare. And I think that's why, God has blessed her so much. Guys, if you've looked at her roster, she has some great talent on there now. She's now a licensed agent out in LA. I encourage you to go check her out, treasurecoasttalent.com. She's great. But anyway, so Jean and I started hooking up, and we got different scripts and different auditions and things coming through. And some of these scenes were just, the indie films sometimes can get indie real fast. And it was a little horrifying because, I had to turn down several jobs just because they are real out there. But then there were some that were borderline. But something that was always really important to me was to have clear lines. And I encourage every actor, whether you're new or you've been doing this for decades, know what boundaries you will not cross. Write them down. Tell them to people. Have your lines. Have your convictions. And when you do that, when you announce that and tell other people what things you will not do, you are more likely to hold true to them. It's very easy to find gray areas if you're looking for them. And this business can be a temptress. So make your convictions sure and share them with other people. Because if you are doing this for the Lord's glory, there is no room for gray area. There's none. You cannot have them. None. Black and white. That's just what it is. So make your lines and your boundaries clear and make them now. But that is one thing that I learned really quickly, is that there is going to be a lot of film options out there, a lot of auditions, a lot of potential that could maybe further my career, but that are not meant for me. At the time, I was also running the children's ministry at my church, and I knew that those kids would watch something if I was in it, and I needed it to be faith and family friendly. Even if it wasn't a Christian film, it needed to be something that kids could watch, because they would watch it. My daughter, just a couple of years ago, for who knows what reason, because kids are crazy, I guess, she did a Google presentation on me at her school. They're gonna Google you. They're gonna look you up. Are you gonna be proud of what they find? Is it gonna reflect the person that you want them to look up to? That's really important to me as a mother. So that's something that I always try to encourage other people with, is to make sure that what you're putting out there is something you can be proud of, something that you can stand face to face with the Lord and go, yeah, that was for your glory. That wasn't for me, it was for you. And that's why I do what I do. It is not for me. I enjoy it. I love it. The Lord has given me the desires of my heart. I love what I do. It is better than I could ever have imagined for myself. But it's not for me. It's for God's glory. And that's one of those things, too, when you read a script, is, does it glorify God? Me doing this, does it glorify God? Or does it glorify me? And that's one thing, too, is on sets, I've been on commercial sets, film sets, some secular things. And in every single moment, not just the film itself, which I pray every film that I've worked on will impact someone one way or the other, but it's the film sets, too. Every single film set I've been on, commercial set, whatever, without exception, I have had a moment where I get to communicate with somebody. I get to share with them, encourage them, or just speak truth to them. And without fail, they have opened the door. I haven't ever had to look for an opportunity God provides that opportunity every single time. It's just a matter of, are you faithful to walk through it? So when you're on film sets, when you're at the grocery store, when you're at the playground, when you're at school, wherever you're at, God has divine interventions planned for you. Are you going to be bold? Are you going to walk through that door? Are you going to talk to that person? Are you going to say those things that are on your heart? Is your heart pounded through your chest? Are your palms a little sweaty? That's God. He's talking to you. He's got something he wants you to share with someone. Guys, it's not easy, but that's what we've been called to. You know, I live a life that I could have never dreamed. His plan is so much bigger than my plan. His plan is so much bigger than what I could have ever imagined for myself. And that doesn't mean that I always have great days. It doesn't mean that I never have moments of doubt. I do. I've had days, weeks, months even, where I wasn't sure if this is going to be something I could truly pursue, if this was just maybe it for me. You know, I had gone as far as I can, and that's it. Guys, this business is hard, and it will get you down. But keep your eyes on God. Because if he is calling you to it, he's going to bless you through it, right? God guides, God provides. So whether you are working at the bank or you are a cashier at Walmart, it doesn't matter. If God's called you to it, that's your ministry. You know, we often talk about commissioning the missionary, but we never talk about commissioning the plumber. But if God's called you to it, that's your ministry. It doesn't matter what you do. That's where God has you for this season. To everything a season. It may not be a long season. It may be years. But God's called you to it. If you're faithful, he's going to honor that and bless it. For his glory, not for yours. Not for you. Not for the accolades. Not for the paycheck even. Which, you know, you got to work. You got to pay the bills. But if you're doing it for God's glory, whether you are cleaning the toilet or changing a diaper or working on a film set, if it is for his glory, he will bless it. He will honor your commitment to him. So guys, I thank you so much for listening to me and my testimony. I pray it was encouraging to you. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what you've got from this, and I'd love to hear where God has you and where you're praying he might take you next. I'm Meggie Jenny, and this is Acting on Faith.